Hey everyone, welcome back to the Elite Real Estate Podcast. I'm your host, Sam Papa, along with my co-host, William McClellan, and our guest, Jered Williams, who brought us a great part one to his story, his origin story from Alaska, how he built his plumbing company, exited it with so much in between. You definitely have to go back to part one. Some very valuable stuff there in the end about building SOPs and definitely how to operate your business remotely, which then in turn is what helped him be able to sell it so successfully. So definitely check out part one. But I'll go ahead and turn it over to Will so he can launch the first question into part two.
Yeah, I'm super excited, Jered. Thanks again for hopping back on.
No problem.
I know we kind of rounded out that, just like what Sam said, the exit strategy and then kind of the launch of Dude Wash. So your incredible pace. If you guys are in the Panhandle area, I know you guys have checked out or at least have seen on the interstate these awesome, hilarious, eye-grabbing, like attention, massive marketing. I love it for Dude Wash. So what's been the key to some of that rapid growth and steps that you've taken to ensure that business is able to scale successfully like your past businesses?
Yeah, I mean, this go around, I just had more funds to put at it. It's probably what it was, like the majority of it. But I also gained the skill set of, back in my plumbing business, it was bootstrapping, but this time around, I got to have a little more fun. So, like the billboards are literally there because it was always a dream of mine to have a billboard. And now I had 4 of them for a little bit. I still got 3. So it was like a childhood dream to have billboards, which is cool.
Yeah. Which one's your favorite? I am curious because they're all hilarious.
I mean, I like them all. I probably like the "We Do It Better Than Your Husband" one.
I love that one. And the one about your mom is so good.
Yeah. Yeah. We thought about running some like free estimates for hot moms. Yeah. If we could get some sequential billboards, we were going to do free estimates for hot moms. On the next billboard, it was going to say "and dads."
And dads.
Yeah. But we haven't done that yet. Maybe
better if you were done "and ugly moms."
Yeah. I don't know how I'm new to Pensacola. I don't want to step on any toes. It's kind of I see a lot of Baptist churches, so I don't know how.
Controversy gets attention, and attention leads to sales.
It does. I had a good friend that told me there's no such thing as bad publicity.
Yeah,
that's probably right.
That's so awesome. So with all the knowledge and everything that you guys have built with your plumbing business, and then getting into online coaching, but even before that, finding the right mentors and things like that.
Yeah.
With Dude Wash, what are you implementing, and then what are you able to kind of scale past in some of the other previous businesses from episode 1 that we were talking about?
Yeah, it's kind of cool doing it a second time because I've already done it once. I've also coached hundreds of people how to do it, so I have a really good idea on how to do it. So the actual knowing what to do is much easier, right? So I know right off the rip, I need a really good brand because I got to grab attention.
Mm-hmm.
I know we got to create engaging ads because I got to get attention. I know I can't just advertise on one ad platform. Lead costs are incredibly expensive these days. I know that if I get my brand out there and I live in your head, my lead costs go down.
Mm-hmm.
So I know all this stuff. So the actual execution of it is fairly simple at this point. It's like, let's get a good brand. Let's make sure we're priced right. Let's make sure we have a really good product. Let's make sure we hire good people. Let's make sure that they're paid well, they're compensated well, they've got a commission structure in place. Let's make sure everybody's got good equipment. And then let's put those systems and processes in place, just like I did in my plumbing business, so that customer, when they call us, they have a seamless experience from the time they call the business to the time we leave their home. And it's like our whole business is built on making that experience as good as possible.
No doubt.
Like you go look at most service companies, they're not answering their phone half the time.
Mm-hmm.
I know this because when I got here and I had my old house, it was green on the backside, and I tried to call a pressure washing company, and I probably called 20 of them and nobody answered their phone.
Mm.
And so like when you hire us, we're going to answer our phone. We have a full-time lady that's all she does is answer phones and book jobs on the schedule. We actually have a system, a CRM. We talked about it last time, where you're going to get entered in that CRM. You're going to get text messages about your appointment. You're going to get a photo texted to you when you're on the way. The technician is going to call you and make sure you don't need anything and let you know he's on his way. He's going to show up to your house in a truck that is well branded, so you know exactly who's there.
Sure.
With all the proper equipment and tools and training in the back. And he's well paid, so he's actually going to be able to come to your home and be attentive and do things properly. And that's a lot of, most people can't do that, right? Most companies can't follow that process consistently over and over and over again. And that's really where we're coming into the market, and we want to provide a better experience for the customer is really what it is. So if like our spot in the market is, if you're wanting to just pick up your phone or fill out a form online and get scheduled, have somebody show up on time and take care of your stuff and pay for it right when he's done. And the whole thing is super simple. It's one appointment. It's none of this phone tag, text message tag, dealing with some guy with his butt crack hanging out, or really low quality equipment. Like, it's crazy what the pressure washing world is. Kind of an interesting one, because there's, in Pensacola alone, there's 169 pressure washing companies.
What?
Yep. And there's probably 5 that have the proper equipment to come out to your home and actually do a good job cleaning your house. I have met with the top 5. And I would vouch for them any day. They will come to your house. They have the proper equipment, and they have the know-how to clean your house properly. The pressure washing, it got this big YouTube hype where we have all these guys that go down to Home Depot, they grab a pressure washer, they grab a bug sprayer, and they put some chlorine in it, and they show up at your house. And they're going to be really cheap, but they're also going to do a really piss poor job cleaning your house, and they're going to be there for a really long time.
Mm.
They're not going to answer their phone. They're going to want to come by. They're going to give you an estimate over text message. There's not going to be any breakdown on the invoice. It's a very unprofessional experience. And I want to completely change the industry to where that's not acceptable. Because to me, it's not. I'm not okay with that. I'm not okay with guys coming to somebody's home and actually using pressure on siding that shouldn't have pressure on it. Now you voided the warranty because you didn't know what you were doing. To me, it's a terrible thing. Or cleaning your driveway and not even really getting it clean and leaving a bunch of lines in it because you don't have the proper equipment or the proper, even know how to get it clean in the first place.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I think you mentioned some really, really key points here. And I think there was a top 3 that really separates you outside of everything that you're doing is you're having a good brand.
Yep.
You're having a good product.
Yep.
Right. It's not fly by night stuff, picking things up from, from the hardware store.
Yeah.
And you're having good people. I think those 3 things are the most critical.
I agree.
Yet, for first time, no matter if it's in real estate, business, service-based, product sales.
Yep.
Those are the 3 hardest things to attain. So I know that you do a lot of coaching. How do you put that package together?
So you have to be willing to pay the people more, right?
Yep.
The good people aren't going to come work for you for pennies on the dollar.
Yep.
They're good people. They're going to go work somewhere else for more money if you don't pay them more. So I think it starts with paying them more. Everything else just becomes a system. Like when you have the good people, you just put a system in place. That's the product. The product is the people in the system that you put in place. And then building a good brand, that's an easy one. Go hire a good branding company, right? Somebody who is legit at creating home service brands, go hire them. Go hire Kick Charge Creative or some of those guys. I like to think about in home service, there's 3 people that are involved in the transaction. And typically what ends up happening is one of those people gets forgot about. And in home service, you have the business owner, you have the technician or the employee, and then you have the homeowner. All three of those people are involved. And most business owners, they don't understand their cost of doing business, or they're afraid to charge the customer what they need to charge the customer in order to stay in business and pay their people well and give their people proper equipment and training. So what they end up doing is they discount the customer and they screw over their employee. And so they're afraid to actually charge, or they don't know what to charge. And then they don't have the money to be able to pay their people well, or give their people the proper equipment, or give their people the proper training. And then what ends up happening is, because of that, that person then goes out to the customer's home without proper pay, without proper equipment, without proper training. And then the quality of the service suffers to the customer.
Sure.
And then the customer is now mad because the business owner provided this substandard service, but he doesn't have any money to go fix it because he's not charging enough in the first place.
Gotcha.
And it's a big problem in the world. It's a big problem in
reviews, and then the bad reviews lead to less conversions, right? And it's just a never cycle there.
Yeah. And so that's what happens when like somebody tries to scale their business from just them in the truck. There are those guys out there that it's just them in the truck, and they still provide a high level service at a slightly lower cost, but they can never get out of the truck. And some people look at that and think that those people are successful, but the reality is that guy is surviving. He has a job with no retirement, no health care, and no way out of it. And when he gets too old to go perform the service that he's currently performing, he has nothing. And if I could get one thing across to homeowners in this nation, it would be that when you spend your money with these people running these, businesses that are giving you a discount to screw over their employees, or supporting one-man operations that don't charge enough to put money away in a 401k or have health care for them and their family, you're supporting terrible things. It's a terrible way to spend your money. And in my experience, the only vote we have is with our dollar. And when you can spend your dollar with a company, you might spend a little bit more, but what you get in return is much better quality, much better experience. And then you support a business owner who's actually making money, which means he can actually take care of his employees. He can run a profitable business. He can provide them with the proper training, the proper equipment. And then that employee then can continue to go take care of you, the customer, right? That whole cycle has to be put together. And most people miss it.
That's massively important. I definitely see that as a restaurateur. There's that amount that has to be charged to be able to run the business well and pay your people well. Because when you run a business, when you're running with employees to provide good services, being able to take great care of your people is one of the most important things for the business to run smooth and the customers get the highest level of service. Transition slightly. You've built a massive following on the platform school and created a successful coaching business through that. Can you tell us about how you built that following, and then what are some of the strategies you use to turn those followers into paying customers?
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty simple. A couple of years ago, I saw people building personal brands, and I thought, okay, there's got to be something to this. So I started making videos. I was horrendous at it. Like, you could go scroll to the bottom of my channel. Please don't, because it's really bad. But practice makes perfect. Started getting better and better. And then, started getting some traction, and started coaching some people, started making some sales, and then hired a coach again to help us with social media content. So hired a social media specific person. I hired basically a content manager, and then I put him through the coaching program. And basically what we learned is we go find content that's already gone viral, and we remake it for what we talk about.
Yeah, repurposing it, right? And just building on to what people are interested in. That makes perfect sense.
Technically, just to be clear, technically not repurposing, you're remaking. Like, you're actually going and refilming exactly what they did at yourself. You know,
So we're taking like the video and we're putting it in ChatGPT and we're getting it transcripted.
Right.
We're taking that script and we're putting it in a Google Doc and we're rewriting the script.
Got it.
Yeah. So like if you go watch any of my short form content, it's all scripted. We sit down once a month and I'll be sitting here with my computer here. You won't see the computer on screen. It'll look like I'm on a podcast, but I'm really just reading off of a script. And so it's a very purposeful intention. Like we're getting views. We're purposely trying to get followers. We're tracking all of those metrics on the back end. And then what we're doing from there is we're running Facebook ads to get people to our school group. So
got it.
And that didn't work until we grew the personal brand. Facebook ads were too expensive. But once we learned how to get attention, now we can just basically start retargeting that attention that we've already gotten. And we can actually get people into our program for quite a bit cheaper.
Interesting.
Yeah.
No, that makes a ton of sense though. Targeted. And so, so then the conversion rate at that point, you're driving so much interest at a high scale. So the quantity allows you to then get, I guess, enough people in to make everything work. Or
the cost per acquisition without organic social media would be far too high.
Like too high. Yeah.
If you just think about it, like I always tell this story with people who are running home service businesses and they're trying to get just leads. And I tell them, you got to focus on leads, but you also got to focus on building your brand. Mm-hmm. People got to know who you are.
Right.
And the reason is like, do you guys have kids?
I do not.
No, we don't.
Okay. If you had kids though, since you don't have kids, and let's assume they need a babysitter. Okay. Or you need a babysitter for your kids. You want to go out with your wife or girlfriend or whatever. And you have two options to choose from with a babysitter. One is highly qualified, has all these babysitting credentials, but you don't know who she is. You've never met her. You've never talked to her. Nobody you know knows her, but she is like the most qualified individual on the planet to babysit your kids on paper. Second option you have is your best friend's daughter who's babysat your kids before. You know her, you trust her, you like her. Who are you choosing?
Best friend's daughter.
You're choosing your best friend's daughter every time.
Every time.
And so if you're going to run ads out into a community or to people, the best thing we can do is prep them by getting them to know, like, and trust us before we ever ask them for any money, before we ever ask them, feed them an ad.
Yeah, so about how big was your following before you even started running paid ads?
So we it's probably, it depends on where you would look. I'll go Instagram because that's the only one I really know off the top of my head. We probably had 50,000 followers when we started running ads and see it actually be successful. We tried it before that. And it wasn't, I know a lot more about ads now than I did back then. So a lot of it was the way we were building our ads and the creative we were creating, but it definitely helps for sure. Right. Yeah.
That's massive. And that's what we're trying to do here. And so having you on is just invaluable. It's just so cool what you've done. And then moving not just across the country, but like,
it's like polar opposites.
Polar opposites. Yeah, no doubt. But I guess this is just breaking it down again here for the listeners. As like a serial entrepreneur, you're seeing these similar qualities of what works, what doesn't. Yep. You're impacting a ton of people, helping a ton of people online you're seeing these businesses flourish. For you specifically, like what are some lessons or tips that you've learned along the way that kind of pushes you to that next level? And do you break things down within your coaching, or you're just giving X, Y, Z, these things do work, we know they do, and you have to get to X by doing this, and then once you complete X, you're going to Y, and then breaking things down that way? Or are there like some hacks, some cheat codes of what's going to create that intrinsic value for that customer, especially in the service-based business?
Yeah. I'll say this. Everybody wants the hack or the cheat.
Everyone wants the hack.
They want the silver bullet, right?
You knew the question was coming then.
That's what everybody's looking for when they get in my program. They're skipping ahead and they're like, where's the silver bullet? And I get to disappoint them that there isn't one. If there was a silver bullet, it would probably be work on yourself before, you work on your business. Your business is a direct reflection of you. And if you work on yourself, your business is going to do way better.
I think that's amazing. Yeah.
That's probably the biggest hack. Most people don't spend enough time on self-improvement, mainly mindset. And I didn't understand that until I had a mindset shift. Because I
think that's a great segue.
What was that mindset shift for you?
What is that?
Man, it's been so many different things. Just probably the biggest one is that you are in control of your life, and that anything that you want out of life, you can dream it and you can go create it. The whole idea of life by design. I was not raised that way. I was raised that you are fed the cards that you got, and that's what you have to live with, and you better be happy with it. I was not happy with that. The idea that you can dream up something and then go achieve it is crazy to me. But I've seen it come true in my life.
That's amazing.
The hard part about that is figuring out then what you want to dream up, because then you have to have some inside reflection of what actually makes me tick as a person.
Sure.
What do I actually care about? A lot of people will dream about money and fancy cars and big houses and, I don't know, crazy parties and all that kind of stuff. But the reality is most human beings, that's not what makes them happy. That's not what brings joy.
Remind me, I think you kind of led into this without even meaning to, but I think at the beginning you were working, you wanted more time, and you wanted financial freedom and time freedom, right? Were those, is that kind of, and you kind of mentioned that in the last episode. So if you guys didn't check out the last episode, that was kind of the very beginning, but tell me if I'm tying that in incorrectly, but I feel like that's
you are
right, pretty parallel to what you're saying, right?
Yeah. In my mind, you can have, we all want freedom. Most business owners go into business to get freedom.
Right.
And what they miss is that you need two types of freedom. You need time freedom and money freedom. Mm-hmm. Time freedom comes after you lose time freedom to create money freedom. And that money is what allows you to have the time freedom. Now, if you can make a bunch of money, but if you spend it all on stupid crap, you just lost your money freedom, which is going to keep you from having your time freedom. Mm-hmm. And so to me, my favorite spot is if I can make this much money and live off this much, I'm the happiest. The bigger that gap, the happier I am.
I love it.
So I still, to this day, I'm still very simple, minimalistic. I don't drive fancy cars. I don't have a fancy house. And I love it that way. Because I've learned that that's not what brings me joy in life. It's not the stuff.
Definitely. No, I mean, that's I think very important for a lot of people to hear, because, a lot of the entrepreneurs of, Instagram, it's, they're catching the attention, with an exotic car, or, flashy items and stuff like that. And, in reality, it's there's a lot you got to do usually in between. That's a later step when you get that.
Yeah.
You created so much, in your coach, doing the coaching that you do in your mastermind groups, and helping people scale. What are some of the core principles and strategies that you teach people in the programs that help people achieve significant growth, both that help you achieve the growth as well as, your clients achieve that growth?
Yeah. So I like to break business down in just a few key pieces, and mind, it's all service business based. Mm-hmm. But we have, the marketing system in the service business. Then we have we call it the call center. Basically, how do we take that marketing and turn it from a phone call into a booked job? Mm-hmm. And then we have what I would consider called the fulfillment system. So that's once this job is booked, how does that technician actually go out there, and what is the process of him creating, turning that into revenue at a high level and a happy customer at the end? And then we have the follow-up system. So a lot of people forget about follow-up in their business. And a lot of times you'll go talk to a customer and you'll give them estimates and they won't want to move forward right away. And if you just follow up with that customer consistently, you'll convert a lot of those jobs. People leave a ton of money on the table right there.
I think that's really a really great point there. Talking about those silver bullets and those golden nuggets, I think that kind of is one, right? Like you're mentioning a lot of these solopreneurs, the guys in the truck, they're in the business and they're kind of grinding. They're not able to scale out.
Yep.
I think a lot of that is left jobs, left money left on the table, right?
Oh,
like
yeah.
Following up, doing those types of things.
Yep.
But I also think with the marketing system, the fulfillment, and the follow up, it's also interesting to talk about like what you're paying for leads, because I do know you just mentioned leads are getting expensive now. So a big KPI that you guys are watching is the conversions, right? And the revenue that's being driven. And if you guys didn't hear anything about earlier in this episode, definitely check out the last episode. Jered is breaking down his systems of KPIs, what he's tracking, why metrics and all of the analytics are so important in the business, which ties in directly now, because if you're paying thousands of dollars for ad-based revenue, direct marketing, direct mail marketing, billboards, etc., I mean, the marketing bill adds up really quickly, right?
Real fast. Yes.
Real fast.
Yep. So especially for new business owners, like new businesses, it's the worst because they don't have any return customers.
Yep.
So the longer you're in business, the less you can spend as a percentage of how much money you're making.
Right.
In the beginning, you're spending a giant portion of your money coming in right back on marketing. Otherwise, you'll never grow the business. But yeah, the leads are expensive these days. And most people, you can go online and you can say, okay, how much should I be spending on marketing? And some marketing company will tell you, you should never spend more than 10% of your revenue back on marketing, which is absolutely ridiculous because it doesn't matter how much you're spending on marketing. What matters is how much it costs you to get a customer. That's what really matters.
And then converting that, right? Because what if you're getting a whole bunch of dead leads and things that aren't really working well?
So you would take your average ticket. If I sell a customer, what's the average money that I get out of that customer? And then what's my customer acquisition cost? And as long as on your budget, right, you should set a budget at the beginning of every year. I don't know how granular you guys want to get, but let's say you set your budget at 20%, and your average ticket is $2,000, and it costs you $400 to get a customer. That's 20% of $2,000. You're good to go. When you start spending more than $400 to get a customer, and you start spending more than 20%, well, that money has to come from somewhere. It's going to come from your bottom line.
Yeah.
So those are the numbers you need to be thinking about when getting customers, and it gets better over time, right? So you should have some system in your business to retain customers over the long haul, so that your lifetime value is much higher. And that's actually how you end up winning in business, is that if you have a much higher lifetime value, right? If this customer uses you for 5 years in a row, but you only have to market to them one time, your average lifetime value goes way up, and you can actually outspend the competition on marketing, and you can afford to pay more to get customers than all of your competition because your lifetime value is much higher.
Right.
So you have to play that long game.
What's been your best resource for learning all this about marketing? I mean, is that strictly part of the trial and error that you've done, or where have you gotten a great starting point, you think, to help someone else, be able to market like you?
Yeah. So a lot of YouTube. I'm the kind of guy that I have to understand what's going on. So I'm not going to hire a marketing company and not understand the core basics of what they're doing. So I dig into everything. If I got a marketing company that's going to do pay-per-click, I'm going to go watch YouTube videos on pay-per-click and understand how that works. If my pay-per-click isn't working, I'm going to go watch YouTube videos on how to get my pay-per-click working. I'm a big YouTube guy. I'll also reach out. I mean, I had a mentor one time that told me it never hurts to ask. So I started asking, If I thought somebody might know the answer, I'll friend them on Facebook. I'll shoot them a DM, and you'd be surprised at how many people will actually respond to your DM. It's pretty remarkable.
Yeah.
Guys with $100 million businesses that are way further along than I am. And I ask them a simple question and they give you a really detailed answer. Those have been some of my favorite resources. And then just trial and error.
I think that's another silver bullet right there. That's like just having, the tenacity to go out and type the message out. Sometimes it's like, that was kind of like when I ran into you, that was really just the stars kind of aligned right there. And because it was so cool. But if I would have looked your name up and saw that you had hundreds of thousands of followers, I would have for sure got nervous. But I think that's such good advice right there. It's like, I shouldn't be nervous. I should be like, oh my gosh, this guy's doing great. I need to come up with something that's very direct, understanding what I think and what I like about him, and ask the question on whatever is going to improve my business. Because like you said, a lot of people who are really successful, they're gonna hit you back.
Yeah, they are.
And like what kind of better advice or direct access can you get than going directly to the source? So that's
most people are just afraid of feeling stupid or looking stupid.
Yeah.
The reality is if you're gonna do anything, you're gonna look stupid sometimes. So get used to it. And push. I would push into looking stupid for sure.
I love that.
I think Alex Hormozy, he said, everybody's going to think you're an idiot until you're not. And it's 100% true. Like when I was growing my plumbing business, my parents thought I was an idiot. My brother thought I was an idiot. My friends were like, what are you doing? And then all of a sudden they were like, oh, he's smarter than I thought he was.
Then you sold it, for some big money and able to move, and now everyone thinks you're a genius.
Yep. They know. Just looking stupid. That's it.
Now I do have a question, and I might just hop in, as soon as we get off this call. Like if I wanted to train with you outside of plumbing, and I know that big picture service based, you're like honing in. If I'm at any level of a service based business in real estate, where I'm flipping a house or acquiring land and getting it to that end customer, can I hop into your master classes in your schools? And is that something that's applicable where we can hop in and do things like that?
I mean, you could hop in. Anybody can hop in. I wouldn't recommend it. I would recommend finding one that is more tailored to what you're doing, because
that makes sense.
They're going to have just so much more knowledge on industry specifics that I would have no idea about.
Yeah, I agree.
And I think that's so critical. And I didn't mean to put you on the spot there. I was just curious. And I know listeners, if they've listened into this second episode and the first, they're probably thinking the same thing. But something you had mentioned in that first episode is like, third time was, and I just keep going back to it in my notes, is third time was the charm. And you had this in your mind, like people are doing it at scale. I know that I can. And you found that mentor and you found that right spot. You went into those Facebook groups. From the Facebook groups, you niched down, so I think getting the mentors is critical. So I definitely wanted to ask. I think it's super cool. And what you've built is incredible. And the value that you're bringing to people is incredible. So it's super exciting. So for aspiring entrepreneurs that are kind of looking to emulate your success, especially for scaling a business, let's say they have a good like family grown business, which there's a lot here in the Panhandle, and a lot of service based businesses. What's the most important thing that you think they should focus on in the early stages to scale?
So, I mean, first it would be marketing, right? If you want to scale, you got to be able to get more customers in your door. Otherwise, you're not going to go anywhere. So you need to learn how to market your company. A lot of times that starts with, you look at these mom and pop brands, they typically have a really boring, lame brand that if you put it on a billboard, nobody's going to notice it. Sure. If you put it on a Facebook ad, nobody's going to notice it. And that's becoming more and more and more important as we go on. So just getting marketing under control, actually starting to spend money on marketing, be willing to spend money on marketing, even if that means you have to raise your rates a little bit, because typically, these mom and pop businesses that have been around forever, they're just running off word of mouth, and they don't have the money to go put into marketing, and they're not charging enough to put money into marketing. So if they need to raise their rates a little bit to be able to go market to get new customers, great. I would totally do that. Anytime you raise your rates, then you have to be thinking about, how do I justify this rate? How do I add more value to the customer so that the rate that I have to charge them in order to be able to market is worth it?
Sure.
So I would at that point, if I'm going to bring in new customers, I would make sure that my product is solid. And then it would be down to, I would want to get a good sales process or system in place to where I could make consistent conversions on the new customers that I'm bringing in. From there, it's like, once you have the marketing, the product, and the sales system, once you sell it, you got to be able to fulfill on it, right? So it's like the funnel from beginning to end or top to bottom, right? You put money in marketing at the beginning, it has to equal more money in your pocket at the end. And so the systems have to be in place to do that. Once you have that down, right, that system is down, it's solid. Now you can scale. You have your foundation in place. Now it's just a matter of, let's put more money in marketing until my call center is broken.
Got it.
And then let's fix the call center until my fulfillment system is broken. And then let's fix the fulfillment system until I have so much money that I can put more money back into marketing and I break my call center again.
I love it.
Rinse, repeat that cycle.
I love it. So market, make your product solid, get your sales process.
Yep.
Bring it home.
And start breaking stuff.
And start breaking stuff.
Yep.
And I think you mentioned it earlier, like a lot of times when you break down the P&Ls, you can be the cheapest guy, but you're not including those marketing costs and those
right.
kind of hard costs, but more hidden. Like it's easier to say, okay, this is how much the job cost. This is how much I'm paying myself or this person.
Yep.
And I'm making this spread, but it's not associating the marketing cost or getting to that sales
Correct.
cycle, right? And that's where you have to really see the whole value to bring the product and bring it back home to be able to then.
That's the part that every business owner and every homeowner misses. They don't understand that there's more to it than just labor and materials.
Yep.
There's 1,000 other costs that have to get covered in this transaction that nobody sees.
No, that definitely makes sense. I mean, it is very apparent after this interview that what it takes to build a business and all the steps and intricacies that so many people forget about, and plus the reasons why you failed in round 1 and round 2, but then what you learned to be successful in round 3. So taking all that you've done in business, doing it for yourself, then taking that, putting it to your mentorship program. How important is it, do you think it is for business owners to give back and create, mentorship programs and coaching, for people like them? Because I'm sure, that kind of helps keep you sharp in what you do by having to teach it, to others.
It definitely does. Yeah, that's very, very true. I am definitely way sharper today than I was 2 years ago, mainly because of my coaching programs. Because now I'm not just solving my problems. I get to help solve other people's problems that maybe I didn't have. Right.
Sure.
So I think it's invaluable for that. I will say it's probably not for everybody. It's not the easiest business to run. And some people, it depends on what kind of person you are, is what I would say. Some people want to start a business and start making money and then go sit on the beach.
Sure.
Some people want to go travel. Some people want to chill at home on their couch. I'm not that kind of guy. I can't sit still I can sit still, but I got to be doing something. I got to be working on something or building something or creating something. And so for me, it just kind of fit. It really fits with my whole philosophy on life is really what it does. I really my personal mission is just to change the world through business, because I feel like, I've been incredibly blessed with all sorts of stuff, with all sorts of learning. And if I don't have a purpose outside of helping other business owners run more profitable businesses, where they actually pay their employees well, they treat their employees well, the customers win, everybody wins. To me, I've watched my own success and the mountain of people that got to be successful underneath me.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like one of the coolest things in the world.
That's wicked.
So,
yeah, that's sweet.
Yeah. So the more I can create that, the happier I am, the more fulfilled I am. And it kind of goes back to just knowing yourself and knowing what makes you tick, and then building your life around that, so that the whole purpose is to live a fulfilled life, not necessarily get rich or have all this time. You could have tons of money and tons of time and be totally miserable. I've seen lots of people like that.
Same. Yeah.
I don't want to be that way. So.
No, man, I love hearing you talk about your purpose, because I think that is such an important aspect of everybody's long-term success, because I think money is a decent motivator in the beginning, especially when you don't want to be poor, that's like a very strong motivator. But once you kind of reach that, first level of comfort, when all the basic needs are met, you don't have any personal debt, then it's like, well, what pushes you beyond that,
Right.
and I think it really takes a purpose. Before I give it over, to Will to kind of, ask his final questions and final thoughts and stuff. Yeah, I think we're at a good point of me asking, like, so if someone was kind of interested in, becoming successful and getting that right mindset, having that mindset shift, what do you think are some of the best books that you've read over the course of your life that, would help, that helps you get to where you are and would help others get to the same place?
Yeah. So my favorite book on the planet is The Science of Getting Rich. It's a really great book. In that book, he talks about it's your duty to get rich. And I won't explain it on this podcast. You'll have to read it. But that really changed the way that I view money. I always thought money was an evil thing, and that people who had a bunch of money were evil. Is how I was raised. And that book completely shifted my mindset about money being a tool that we can use in whatever manner we see fit. And that if it's that thing, if it's a tool that we can use and we're on this earth to do as much good as possible, we should acquire as much of it as possible so that we can do as much good as we can.
I am ordering that book as soon as we finish this
episode. I'll warn you, it's a little weird, but it's good. If you get the audio version, the guy who reads the audio version, I love the way he reads it. I've listened to it probably 100 times.
So you recommend the audio?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
It's a very easy read to do. Second one would probably be, if you're currently in business, I mentioned it on the last one, but it would be The E-Myth Revisited.
Okay.
If you're in business and you're struggling to get, past like you and a couple employees, that book probably will speak right to your situation. It's a cool book.
Yeah.
And then probably the next book that, can I say two more?
Oh, please.
Of course.
So I'm a big health guy, kind of. There's a book called The Maker's Diet. It's a book about a guy who was having really bad problems, and he changed his diet to eat more like Old Testament Jewish people. Very interesting book. There's another book. Have you guys ever heard of Joel Salatin?
I have not.
So he's a farmer. Probably he's into like regenerative farming. He's probably at the forefront of the regenerative farming front.
Oh, sick.
He has a book called, he's got a lot of good books, but there's one really good book called The Marvelous Pigness of Pigs. And it's really a book about God through the lens of a farmer. And the gist of the book is living by your convictions. So if we believe that, if we learn these truths in this world or things that are true, then we should be living those things out in our daily life. Another really good book. Those are probably my favorite.
I love it, man. I'm definitely going on Audible after this and checking those out because
Cool.
I'm intrigued. And the plus, since I'm the local owner of Clean Eats, I'm always interested in health stuff. The whole reason I own Clean Eats is to keep me accountable and keep me on track and being healthy. So I'm definitely going to check out the Maker's Diet book. That sounds interesting.
It is. It's a cool book.
Yeah, and then I was pulling it up while you're chatting the science of getting rich. I know you mentioned specifically the audio, and I just found there's a free version on YouTube, so we can add that link down
There
in
you go,
the
man.
description. And just I'm definitely going to listen to it today. And like you said, it's a light read. It looks like it's just a little bit over 2 hours to listen. I mean, that's amazing, and especially with you highlighting it.
There's a really good YouTube video it's called Napoleon Hill Master Key. If you just look that up on YouTube, that'll pop up. It's a 2-hour video, but it is one of the best videos I've ever watched. As far as like personal development, financial success, it's excellent.
No, I love it. I love it. Now, just kind of adding on to this element of mindset shift and personal development, how important do you think, outside of finding that right mentor, are reading books like you've mentioned, working out, taking care of your body, understanding what you're putting into you, and what are your views on that, and how much time are you spending on that outside of the business? Because I think it's all kind of a cycle that moves together.
I think mindset's everything. And it's really easy to let your mindset slip, and you don't realize how important mindset is until you get out of a bad mindset. And for me, my getting out of a bad mindset has always been achieved by pushing into something that is uncomfortable or scary. I've never been able to like read a book and really shift my mindset all the way. It's typically a combo of the two. I'm doing something that is uncomfortable and scary, and I'm having these mindset issues, and then I read the book at the right time, and they say that one thing that's like, oh, I've been thinking about this totally backwards. And it helps you push through that time that you're in. So I think it's a mindset is a thing that I will always continue to read. I'll always continue to listen to stuff about, because it's so important, and it's so easy to slip back, to go backwards in your mindset. Especially if you're raised a certain way, going back to the way that you're raised seems comfortable, and it never serves you well. As far as like fitness and health, I would love to say that I am a massive fitness guy, and sometimes I am. Like I used to run 100-mile races.
No way.
And and then you start a business, right? And there's a season of your life where you have to invest a bunch of your time into this business, and something has to give. So it's, health and fitness or those kinds of things typically. So I think you can do it. The first time I grew my business with Prospector, if you guys go to the Prospector Plumbing website, it's prospectorplumbingandheating.com. There's a video of me, and I'm about half the size in that video than I am today. And it's because I spent 3 years sitting behind my computer desk building this business, and I neglected to eat right and to work out and to make sure that I'm taken care of. I would never do that again. That was terrible. It was a long recovery road out of there to back to putting on a little bit of muscle, paying attention to what I'm eating. So I don't think you can be like world-class athlete and then grow a business at the same time unless somebody else is growing the business for you. But I would definitely be paying attention to what I eat and be working out at least once or twice a week for sure.
Awesome.
It's a great time for me to tell everyone to please come and see me at a Clean Eats location near you. We got a healthy cafe and a meal prep company located in Mobile, Alabama, Pensacola, Florida, Shalimar, Florida, and Tallahassee, Florida. So stop at one of my cafes. We got amazing protein smoothies, protein coffees, dine-in cafe, and then you can grab meals to go. So it's all about health.
Yeah.
Cool, man.
No. Big shout out to Clean Eats, allowing us to get awesome guests like Jered in all of the episodes. So again, check out Jered's first episode. Lots of amazing information. So many golden nuggets throughout both of these episodes. Lastly, if they want to find out more about you, Jered, Dude Wash, any of your mastermind, your coaching programs, what's the best way? Let's list them all out. I know we did it in the last episode, but if people are coming in episode 2, what's the best way?
Yeah, you just Google Jered Williams, I'll probably pop up, or Google the Jered Williams show, I'll definitely pop up.
Yeah.
Dude Wash, if you're interested in checking that out, you go to calldudewash.com. You can Google Dude Wash Pensacola, will probably pop up. Or if you're local and you're listening to this and you want to stop by our office, it's 3834 North Davis Highway.
Perfect.
Come in anytime.
Awesome.
No, that is great, man. There's so much we got out of this, and man, I can definitely tell mindset is a big driver, in your life, and I mean it's definitely been a pivotal thing in my business as well, to continue to have that through all the seasons that are, because as we all know, business isn't a straight up the graph kind of deal. There's many ups and downs in that can stress you out as you go through economic cycles and different seasons in the business.
For sure.
No, this has been amazing. I actually just counted. I have 13 pages of notes. This has been an amazing 2 hours. I cannot thank you enough for being on. Look forward to connecting. So everybody check out Dude Wash. If you're in the Panhandle area, we know we have a lot of real estate investors and a lot of flippers. So if you guys have, a new listing, you need to get it cleaned up, check out Dude Wash. They're going to do everything. If you're residential or if you have a ton of rental properties in your portfolio, you need to get freshened up, windows done, Dude Wash is the place to go. So
and just on that note, I've actually just went through one of my rental turnovers right now, and this one's over in Fort Walton, so I didn't get to call Jered, but on my Fort Walton one, we found out just doing a major cleaning sometimes saves you a ton of what you think you might need to do. Like I thought I was going to repaint a bunch of stuff, didn't have to do it just after a solid clean. So definitely call Jered if you're in the Pensacola area, because you'll be completely surprised what just a great cleaning will do. And I've actually been to a Grant Cardone real estate workshop where they're one of the most famous things they do before raising rent in an apartment complex is just pressure wash it. So, I would recommend call Jered if you got some real estate, because definitely pressure washing it will definitely make it better. Before we leave, definitely check us out at theeliterealestatepodcast.com, and please go to our YouTube channel and hit that subscribe button. Will, anything before we close out?
No, just another massive thank you. Super excited, and yeah, thanks for the time, man. Awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks everybody.
Appreciate it, guys.
All right, we'll see everyone on the next episode. Thank you for listening to the Elite Real Estate Podcast.
Dude, 5230, exactly.
Perfect, man.
Gangsters.
Dude,
yeah, you got a ton of stuff. We could have done 4 hours.
I was thinking, I was about to text everybody and say, hey, do we rip episode 3? Have you started your podcast?
Yeah, I haven't started the local one.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm waiting on, I've got another guy coming down to help manage the business, and then I'll start doing that.
Epic.
Yeah.
No, dude, I appreciate you doing this. And if you have time to catch lunch anytime, or if we're just going to go rip it, we're both pretty close to North Davis. So,
oh yeah,
yeah,
cool.
This is side of town. I'm over in Beulah and he's by Car City. So yeah.
So I could do probably best days for me if you guys ever want to do lunch would be, I believe, Wednesdays.
Cool. Oh, well, that works out. Recording days. I love it. Grab a little grub and go and record. So.
Yep. If you guys ever want to do that.
Yeah, man. Well, thanks so much for being on, dude. I appreciate it.
Anytime. Thanks for having me on. Appreciate it.
We'll catch up soon.
Yeah, man. See you guys.
All right.
See you later. Thanks, Jered.